friends, Pastor Randy here. Welcome to Making It Simple. Great to be back with you. We are jumping back into seeking and understanding. Want to just jump right into our main topic for this particular lesson. What is discernment? We hear that word. It's kind of a big word. But what is it? Is it something deeper than just my opinion? Well, yeah, it is. Discernment, as I said in a couple of our earlier lessons, is something we have to look for. We have to seek after. As we look at these particular passages, and I said we were going to really spend some time here in Proverbs chapter 2, and today we're going to kick that off as we look at the depth of the words that are there. Because what we need to understand is the person that is speaking to us. See, when we begin to understand as we read these words, we realize wisdom is speaking to us. Wisdom, the personality, the embodiment of that. God is really trying to get us to think, not just outside the box, but to think. See, oftentimes today what we find is many people don't think. They react. They hear something, and then there's an instant reaction. But is that thinking? Again, many things are deceiving. What we see may not actually be there. What we see may not have actually happened. You see, friends, I mean, that's this. We're not talking about conspiracies and different things as such. While that's certainly a reasonable topic to address at some point in time, because unfortunately some of those things are true, but they're hidden. It's called hidden in plain sight. It's right in front of you, but you're being told it's not actually there. That seems strange. So much of what we find today is mind games. But where did that start? Well, it's much like the series that we just came out of. It started at the beginning. Oh, God didn't really tell you that, but they knew that he did. It's mind games. So what is discernment? We find as we jump in here through Proverbs chapter 2, I want us to find something deeper. I want us to find the guidance of the Lord. I want us to listen intently, not just to me. I certainly am honored to be the teacher in this, but I want us to listen, and I want us to hear, and I want us to grow in clarity of the things that are around us. You see, friends, it is so important that we open our eyes. I cannot stress that enough, because many things are not what they appear to be. Many things are not what they're said that they are. And again, we're not talking about conspiratorial things. We're talking about reality. And we're not talking about just government and politics and even in the realm of religion. All those things can certainly find truths in that. But He's trying to deal with you. He's trying to get you to look internal. Why? Because we're made in the image of God. If we never pursue that, if we never look, what does that mean? Who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? Those are so vital. And as we look at this particular chapter, and in particular the first few verses, we begin to find an enormity of answers that are just incredible. The word discernment, I'm just going to read this for you. It means to perceive or differentiate. To perceive or to differentiate. In other words, that's not what I think it is. That's not what I was told that it is. There's something deeper here. All these different things. Why is that important? Especially to the believer. Especially to the believer. As I just said, we live in a time of great deception. So we need the clear truth. How do we find that? How do we find that in a sea variety? How do we find that in an offering of buffet standards, to where everywhere you look there is an option? We have to go back to that word truth, and we have to add the 3-letter word before it, the truth. What is that? It's not what you're told on TV. It's not what you read in a book. It exists in one place, in the person of Jesus. He said, I am the truth. Friends, until you know him, until you have a right relationship with him, you're not going to see it. And I don't say that in some type of arrogant or pious way. I'm talking about that. It all comes back to that. Why would I say that? Because Jesus himself said, no one gets to the Father except through me. What is he talking about? Is he talking about a doorway, a method? No. He's saying you'll never understand the truth until you go through me. You'll never get the truth until you go through me. This is why this subject is so important. We need clear truth, especially today as believers, because we can get into all the conspiracies about whether we landed on the moon or who invented this or who did. We can get into all of those things. But when it comes to life, when it comes to eternity, when it comes to the things that actually matter, there's only one source, which in and of itself makes things so much easier, but it also creates another realm of conflict and controversy, because many do not want to believe that only one way can exist. But if you think about the practicality of just one way, there has to be just one way if it's going to be done right. When we hear the idea, the concept of clear truth, what that equates, friends, is we have to be at a point. We have to obtain a point to where there is no doubt. In other words, I know that I know that I know. And the comfort in that is overwhelming. In other words, that's the one area in my life that I do not have to have doubt. That is the one area in my life I don't have to have speculation or question or anything. I don't have to believe anything else. Who did this? What happened really on this date? And all. We can have those conversations all day long. But the one thing that we can hold true to is, I know who Jesus is. I know what he did for me, and I know without a doubt he is the truth. So we turn to our passage, Proverbs chapter 2. We can begin it right here in the very first things. And so I want to read this, and then we're going to look at it just for a moment. My son, the addressing of that is important because it's personal. It's personal. This is a possessive word. Son, this is a related word. In other words, you are part of me. What are we created in? The image of God. If you accept my words. Now, let's start right there. If you accept my words. The pivotal word in that statement is if. That's where things get cloudy sometimes, because if is the predicator to everything. If I do this, if I do that, if I don't do this or don't do that. If. What that word does, friends, is it opens the door to choice. If you want to go here, that's the way you get there. If you don't want to go here, and we could go on the entire teaching series for this, on that one word. But we have to understand the door that one tiny little 2-letter word answers, is it opens up the opportunity for you. It opens up the opportunity to make a decision, if. And so here wisdom is telling us, if you accept my words. So again, if you accept, what does that mean? Accept means it's offered. You see, friends, when it comes to truth, it is absolutely not that truth is not offered, because truth is offered. The problem comes when truth is rejected. That's where the argument gets pretty deep in the world today, is what is the truth? Well, the truth is there. Most just don't want to hear it because it's not in the line that we wanted it to be, whatever that might be. But it's not because it doesn't exist. That is why we need to understand what the truth is. And as I said earlier, there's only one place you're going to find it, and that is in the person of Christ. Everything will come back to that as we go through this lesson and understand what our relationship with Christ truly means to our life. God bless you, friends. Lord willing, I'll be back with you tomorrow for the next part of Making It Simple.